Oh, radiant particles. We wish to talk to you in this now of something that may for some be a confusion, and for others an elucidation. Our conduit laughed just now, for he knows a little of what is coming, and in closing his eyes he saw an after image of the camera in front of him, which was actually a symbol of our subject, which ultimately relates to truth and falsehood. That is why we talked of confusion and elucidation. For you have a notion in your language, a notion propagated by your language. And we ask you to conceive that language may be hiding the truth itself, and that truth may have different perspectives. We have referred before to the two hands in your language, that this is called the right hand, and this the left hand. The right is correct and regal, upright, and the left is left behind, left out, the sinister hand, the wrong hand, and horizontal. And these concepts also relate to your masculine and to your feminine, and in your society and in your language. The masculinity has been promoted and dominates, and the feminine has been squished and demonized. But even many of your light workers, truth workers, love workers, still focus on the creativity, the creator, without recognizing the equal importance of receptivity and the receiver, for they must both be in balance. And we tie this together also with your notion of cause and effect. Have you seen one as coming first and the other as following after? And yet seen outside time they are just two parts of the same thing, inseparable, for you can have no cause without there being effect, and no effect without there being a cause, from your perception. And yet for everything that exists, it exists in this one moment, together, totally. Your perception of cause and effect is an understanding, a projection of meaning, of resolving out of what is, a structure. But that structure only arises out of you accepting or limitation. So it is not really true. It is only a partial view. For the whole truth is that everything just is, as it is, in one moment. That is the real truth. And that truth is hidden in your language by the lie. We are using the word lie here, specifically, for that word is at the root of the confusion. For the root of the word lie is to be horizontal. The lie of the land is the land as it is, the natural shape of the land, the horizontal nature of the land. And in your limitation and your perception of that limitation, you build constructs, buildings and towers upon that land. You impose the meaning with your verticality and consider that to be the truth. So the lie is the real truth. It is nature as it is. And what you think of as being truth is actually the falsehood. Now do you understand why we talked of confusion? And we've also talked before of, as you transcend different dimensional levels, of reality flipping round, back to front and upside down, as in a waveform passing through a node, the left becomes the right and the right becomes the left. But let us go back to the very root, the one, in which everything exists in one moment. We have stepped outside time. For time too is your own construction. And we will talk about the generation of belief and trust and a judgment and faith and hope. For these too are concepts imposed by you, by the nature of your limitation. In terms of time, where does time arise from? So we go back to the root and imagine the void, which is no time, because it is the absence of everything, including time. And the paradox that arises because the void is one, that very paradox, for if it is nothing it cannot be one, and if it is one it cannot be nothing, that paradox is the nature that you are radiant particles. That is the nature that you are resolving. You are resolving the paradox, unfolding the paradox, and that unfolding is your nature of time. So your perception of a moment of time is from the void. The universe is created in a moment and collapses back to the void. That is one moment. But since it collapses back to the void to no time, it is collapsed back to zero. So when another moment is created, another entire universe, a moment of an entire universe, and collapsed back to the void, it returns to the same position. So all the possible multiple moments that there are all exist together. For they are all rooted in the void. They all extend from zero and return to zero. And that infinitesimal flick of time is repeated in your minds in sequence to create the illusion of time. But all moments exist coincidentally, simultaneously, as the one moment, as many infinities of moments, all at the same time. But by hanging on to one moment and creating in your consciousness a relationship, or moving to another moment that is similar. And as we have said before, everything is unique. So the moments can only be similar, but they must be different. So in your illusion of time, you see change occurring, of one thing happening after another. And the passage of your consciousness through those moments is your choice. And your choice is based on what you believe has come before. But in any one moment, you are just in that moment now. There is no before or no after. Only the illusion, the perception of it. If we step into your conception of time, we see the origination of the place, the moment you are now, as starting at the one, and there being a choice of limitation of perceiving this reality or this reality. And once you have chosen this reality, you cease to be able to see this reality. And then another choice occurs, and you choose this part of reality or this part of reality. Like the branches of a tree, extending through infinite levels. And because when you take one choice, you do not see the other choice, the choice you have made becomes a judgment and a belief. And you trust that that is as it is, for you see no other path. And in that trust you have faith, and projecting into the future, that is hope. And all these things are tied inseparably. And when you sit on your chairs, you trust that the chair will take your weight, even though you know that sometimes chairs collapse. Even though you trust that you will not pass through the chair. Your belief, your trust, your judgment that the chair will take your weight. Your belief in the solidity of the reality around you is necessary for you to have this experience. Faith and hope are often used for higher concepts and beliefs too. Believing that you might be upset about one thing, when it is only a thing, nothing to be upset about. That is your judgment that arises out of belief. And in judgment you have trust that your judgment is correct. But all these things only arise out of your limitation, out of the choices your consciousness has made of having one path instead of another. And like the simple cause and effect, it is not possible to tease apart belief, faith, judgment, trust, hope. They are inseparably bound. When you awake and open your eyes in the morning, you trust that the world will be quite similar to the one you left when you went to sleep. You believe it will be. You believe the sun will rise the next day. You believe the bed you went to sleep on will still be there. You trust it. And these things are the roots of your faiths and your hopes. For they are all really false constructs, based on your beliefs and your choices. They are like the false constructs that you build on your landscape. If you leave them alone for long enough, many thousands of years, they will return to the lie of the land, for they were only ever temporary false constructs. So trapped in your reality, trapped within your limitation, you have come to believe the false constructs are the truth, the real, the right, and that the reality as it is the lie, the falsehood, the sinister nature, and have demonized it. And as we have said about the swapping of directions as a simple analogy of how things flip around, as you ascend, things will change again. What you believe to be false will become the truth, and what you believe to be the truth will become the falsehood. The solidity of your reality will become mutable, and you will become more aware of the nature of choice in deciding which reality to experience. For your consciousness really is free to have any experience it likes. And the fact that you are having this experience now, seeing this world around you now, is your choice. It does not have to be that way. And when your consciousnesses transcend the resonant boundary of this current choice you are experiencing, you will gain more freedom to choose, more freedom to decide which reality you want. And we know you will choose a more harmonious reality. And from within your perception of time, moving back towards the One is moving back into greater harmony, until at the One, perfect harmony exists. But in that perfect harmony, there is no variation, there is no contrast, and hence no perception, no understanding, no meaning. For to be able to perceive something, there must be contrast. So this great dichotomy between the One not knowing itself, and you, oh radiant particles, believing you know yourselves, not realizing you are the One, producing an illusion of limitation where none really exists, are defining your own nature as the One, defining yourselves to know what you are. Not just exploring, but coming to know your true nature. And yet in your reality, in your limitations, you see some of the limitations around you, but you are not conscious of how limited you are, for you have come to accept your limitations and believe them to be true, to be real. You judge them to be real. This is necessary for the defining of the nature of reality. There is no sequence of choices from the One. There is no growing of the branches, for all moments exist at the same time. All choices are coincident and simultaneous, and any of them can be changed. So anything you believe to be true can be changed. But they are so linked together that to change one, many others must change too. Before you are free to fly, to float, and not recognize gravity. You must untangle all the other beliefs, all the other habits in your consciousness that tie together with that. And that is the moment you are coming to. That is one description of ascension of moment, where you have the free choice, the real choice, as to which reality you wish to experience, to explore. O great adventurer, radiant particles! You are such courageous explorers, and definers, and resolvers. And as you experience all the possibilities of reality and collapse them into a singularity of your experience, you are making your reality. You are creating the universe you are in. You are the great creators. And we ask you to choose wisely and with your hearts which reality it is you are creating. For even one single consciousness making that choice can change all of the reality they experience. And if you still choose to see other consciousnesses in that reality, you will see them as having made that choice too, for you have created them. For there really is only one consciousness of the One, experiencing itself from infinite directions, having infinite perceptions of the same thing. So, O radiant particles, we salute your courage and say that if what you are perceiving does not please you, accept it for what it is first. Accept the lie of the land and choose the right path, the path that will bring harmony and love and joy. And the more you untangle your complex beliefs of what the nature of your reality is, the easier it will be for you to make that choice. For you have lost the connection to the One, deliberately, to experience the joy of refinding it, deliberately experiencing the lack of love, so that you may know what love is. And so we salute your great courage, your adventurous spirits, and radiant particles. We leave you with joyous greetings.